So you're sitting there, looking at your partner, and one of you finally says it. I think I want to go back to the way things were. After months, maybe even years of an open relationship, you've hit a wall. The big question is, what on earth do you do now? Right. Can you really put that genie back in the bottle? It is the question, isn't it? Can a marriage actually close up again once it's been opened? Well, the short answer is maybe. It's really, really complicated. It's definitely not as simple as just flipping a switch and pretending nothing ever happened. I love this metaphor because it just nails the core of the problem. You can't unknow things. You can't unfeel things. The experiences you've had, the new people, the highs, the lows, they're now part of your story together. That bell has been rung and everyone's heard it. And this is why you can't just go back. Opening a relationship doesn't just change your weekend plans. It literally changes the wiring of your partnership. It alters the whole psychological foundation. You've both seen and learned things you can't unsee or unlearn. It's impossible to go back to a time before you knew what you know now. So, this forces a huge mental shift. The goal can't be to rewind the clock. That's a recipe for failure. The real question, the only one that matters, is can you build something new from the ground up? A monogamy 2.0 that takes into account everything you've been through, good and bad. Okay, so if building a new future is the way to go, why is it so incredibly hard? Why do so many couples crash and burn when they try? Well, it's because they're running a full-on psychological obstacle course they didn't even know they signed up for. And the reasons for even wanting to close in the first place? It's usually a perfect storm. You've got emotional burnout, which is huge. You've got jealousy that just won't quit. But one of the biggest catalysts is when the fantasy of an open relationship slams head-on into reality. In your head, it all seems so perfect, so controllable. You imagine these cool, sexy scenarios. But reality? Oh, reality is messy. It's unpredictable. It involves other actual human beings with their own feelings. And that jealousy you thought might be kind of hot, turns out for a lot of people, it's just plain traumatizing. The fantasy just can't survive the facts. And even when you both 100% agree to close the relationship, you're still fighting against these huge internal forces, like the forbidden fruit effect. The second you say you can't have something, it's all you can think about. Or you've built this massive comparison database in your head that you just can't seem to delete. Let's really drill down on this one because it's a monster, the hedonic treadmill. Basically, your brain gets used to a new, higher level of stimulation. The novelty, the intensity, it recalibrates your baseline for excitement. So what used to feel amazing can suddenly feel kind of meh. Not bad, just less. And honestly, this isn't just a relationship thing. Our whole culture runs on this treadmill, always chasing the next new thing. But when it's happening inside the most intimate part of your life, it can feel completely destabilizing. Okay, wow, that sounds pretty bleak, I know, but here's the thing. It is not a lost cause. Some couples actually pull this off. So let's flip the script. Let's stop talking about the problems and start looking at the blueprint for how this can actually work. Right off the bat, couples who succeed don't just get lucky. They are incredibly intentional. It all has to start with both of you genuinely wanting the same thing, not one person dragging the other along. And this next one is so important. You have to let yourselves grieve what you're losing. Seriously. The freedom, the excitement, maybe even relationships with other people, you have to acknowledge that loss before you can build something new. And that intention needs structure. You can't just say, we'll talk more. No, the couples who make it, they build a literal architecture for their communication. This means things like a scheduled, non-negotiable weekly check-in, a state of the union, or agreeing ahead of time on how you'll talk about temptations. My favorite is the comparison circuit breaker, a code word you can use to immediately stop a conversation that's spiraling into a negative comparison game. These aren't just tricks, they're safety tools. You also have to be brutally realistic about the timeline. This is a marathon, okay, not a sprint. The first few months are probably going to be a total crisis period. It's going to be awkward and emotional. It can easily take a full year or two before things even start to feel stable and integrated. Yeah, let's just put a number on it. 24 months. 2 years. That's the minimum amount of time successful couples give this new way of life before they even try to decide if it's working. It requires an absolutely massive amount of patience. And all of this brings us to what might be the single biggest mental shift you have to make. For this to have any chance of working, you have to move your focus away from restriction and toward creation. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? If your entire project is about all the things you can't do anymore, all the rules and restrictions, you're just building a resentment factory. The energy has to go into what you are building. What new, exciting thing are you creating together? So here's the bottom line. You can't go back. That relationship is gone because you are both different people now. The real challenge, but also the real opportunity, is to take all this stuff you've learned and use it as the building blocks for a future you both actively and consciously choose. Which really leaves us with this final, massive question. The test isn't about whether you can just stop doing something. It's about whether the two of you can create a new version of monogamy that is so good, so connected, so rich that you would freely choose it day in and day out over all the other options. That's the real work. And honestly, that's the real prize.